Okay. Part 3 is about how you crochet one of these bigger squares into your pattern of small squares. Here I had one round of green squares and then did a big purple square. With this piece here we'll do the same. Here we have the row of green squares, and now here, right in the middle, I like to do a big purple one. All around we keep doing small ones. First, we need to build a frame by crocheting the small yellow squares so that we then can crochet that purple one into that frame. So again, we take the yellow yarn and then start here. Because the big purple one will go here, so I'm going to skip this one and start with the next. So we cast on here and pick up stitches. We got 2, 4, 6 stitches and then the 7th out of the border. Then we cast them off. You already know the steps, so I don't need to explain them again. We built the framework for the bigger square with the smaller ones. Now I finished the 5th row, and so we can cast the square off. Then we cast on again on the other side. Underneath the slip stitch and start our next square. Here we have the loose end from our round of green squares, which we can now crochet in really easy. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Don't forget the green end. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Again, take in the green end. And this square too is finished. Chain 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slip stitches, and the 6th underneath the following first slip stitch of the next square. Then you can cut off the yarn because on this side too I want to have a larger square. So now we did the right half of our framework. We only need to do the same on the other side. This here is the recess for the large square on the front and the back, because here I also have a square on the front and on the back. So now we again cast on here, just like I showed you before. Then you just crochet a small square into this gap and into this gap and cast off. If you have a bigger case, you crochet more, but always leave the middle one empty. I'm not going to show this now, you just do it the same way we did those two here. Alright, now we crochet the small squares on both sides and you can perfectly see where the big purple square will go. We take the purple yarn and insert here on the outer edge to pull through our first slip stitch. This is where we start. One, 2, 3, crochet in the loose end, 4, insert above and underneath the slip stitches in turns, 5, 6, 2, 4, 6. The 7th I pick up from underneath here out of the slip stitch of the next square. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now we have 12 stitches. And stitch number 13 I pick up from here out of the adjoining row. The border like we used to. Next we cast off the stitches just as we did before. Always 2 at a time. Then we pick up again. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and the 13th out of the following row. You know that by now. I'm going to continue now until I reach the junction right here. Okay, so now I have 5 rows, and currently I'm at the junction between this green square and the yellow one. For the 6th row, I pick up the stitches as usual, and the 13th stitch I pick up out of here out of the row in between the squares, out of the junction if you will. This here is where I insert for row 7. And here, like I said, for row 6. Then insert here for the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th row. So altogether this square will consist of 13 stitches and 11 rows. Currently I'm in row 6. And like I said, for the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, you insert here. Alright, now I casted off the large square and now I crocheted the last slip stitch as usual, underneath the first slip stitch of the adjoining square. Then we cut off the yarn. So the big purple square sits very nicely on top of these rows. Now we only have to add the other small squares. First, I'm going to crochet one small green square here. Just like before, you know that already. We need this for the height, because the big purple square equals 4 small squares in total. And to even that out, we first needed a yellow square and now a green one. Now the green square is finished. I did 5 rows. Now I chain 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slip stitches. And the 6th here underneath the first slip stitch. Okay, we filled this gap too. Now we just need to do the same on the other side. I cast on here at the same point where I ended the purple square. And fill this gap here with a small green square. If your tablet case is bigger, you obviously have more of the smaller squares to do. But for now, I just want to show you how you place that larger square into the pattern and how to build the smaller squares around it. Okay, So this green square too is finished. Cut off the green yarn and pull through. Now that we build up height with the green squares, we next do yellow ones here. For that, we cast on here at the green square. And here underneath the first row of the big purple square is where I get my 7th stitch out of. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th here from underneath the second row. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th here from underneath the third row. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th here from underneath the fourth row. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th here from underneath the fifth row. Now the adjoining square is done, so we can cast off. Chain 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slip stitches. And now we have to crochet the last slip stitch underneath the 6th row. So the slip stitch goes right onto the 6th row. Later, when I pick up stitches again, I'll get the 7th here out of the 7th row. I'll show you later. First we crochet the next yellow square. For that, we count stitches. Starting here where the 6th stitch is. 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. And into the first we insert our needle. You can double check. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. That's correct, because the 7th stitch I always get here out of the border. So either you count back here, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or you count from here until you have 6 stitches and then insert into the 7th. Then we pick up our stitches here, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th here out of the border of the adjoining green square. Now we just finished this square and are almost done by framing the big purple square with the smaller yellow and green squares. chain 1, and again cast off with 5 slip stitches. 4, 5, and the 6 underneath the following square. You would continue if your case was bigger, but you know that by now. And now, you can see that we have all same size gaps here for all small squares, just like we're used to. I'll just show you how to start. Pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now the 7th, not like before from here, but here from underneath the 7th row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's row number 7. And we insert underneath that row. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th from underneath the 8th row. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th from underneath the 9th row. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th from underneath the 10th row. And now the 5th and last row. For the larger square we have 11 rows, and from underneath the 11th row we pick up the stitch for our last row. Then we cast off with the chain stitch and 5 slip stitches. 3, 4, 5, and the 6th here at the large square. Now we're here. Next, I pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loops, and the 7th out of the adjoining square. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the 7th out of the adjoining square. So you can see we just continue by crocheting small squares. This is our row of yellow ones. For this tutorial I just did 1 on each side, and now we continue with green. That's how I did this case here too. These are the green ones, and then you just continue as usual. So that is how you get larger squares within a pattern of small squares. Basically, you could do even bigger squares. For example, a square that's as big as 9 small squares, so 3 by 3. You just count 5 rows here and 5 rows here, and 1 row in between. That's why we have 11 rows here and not 10. So if you wanted to do the 3 by 3 square, you would have 5 rows more, that'd be 16, and the one for the row between, so altogether 17 rows instead of 11. Alright, this is it. I hope you had fun with this tutorial. If so, you're welcome to subscribe to my channel. Hope to see you soon. Love, Veronika.